Hi everyone, it's Craftytinas. Today's video is Universal Cinch number 3. I decided to start number them so we can see what kind of progress we're making in our new exploration of the Universal Cinch. Now in my last video, we did not count it as a Universal Cinch video because we were making notebooks using not just the Universal Cinch, but using spiral binding in all of the cinches. If the Universal Cinch can do it, why can't the others? And it is because of the long holes that will allow you to do a 4:1 pitch for the spiral binding. We were able to do it in a square hole mini and a round hole original cinch. So if you missed that video, that was the last video posted prior to this one. Make sure you go check it out. Now for this video, I want to clear up some confusion on how do I punch my holes in my paper and in my cover and have my cover be slightly bigger on 3 sides. So this notebook, the inside pages are the same size as the cover. This is my favorite 1/4 inch page, which is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. There's no extra for the notebook. I didn't need any, I didn't want any. This was one of my fabric covered notebooks with my favorite split wire. Has a lot of elements and I really like, and it's also all about recipes. So this is in a prior video. We made this with a regular cinch. Actually, we made this with the mini because it is square holes. We made this notebook to be flush. The cover and the pages are flush. Now we have done other notebooks, this one using the original round cinch, and we've allowed the covers to be 1/4 inch bigger on the top, 1/4 inch bigger on the bottom, and usually 1/4 inch bigger on the right hand side, but on this one it is a 1/2 inch bigger because we added tabs. So I want to explain how you can get the measurements to do the actual extra for the covers. I also want to introduce for the first time my universal cinch log. This is going to give you an idea of how to punch things when it is not standard. So there are a few times here where we're not going to go with the manufacturer recommendations because we want to do something different. And it's usually when I want to punch a fewer amount of holes. See how I have space above and below this notebook? I like that look. I don't like the spirals going all the way to the end, or in this case, the double loop binding going all the way to the end of my notebook. I don't know what it is about that. I prefer to have a little space. This machine is not meant for you to have space if you use their measurements. I do think they were trying to make it easier for us by not putting all the measurements on the slider or on the actual machine. I have found a very easy way to get around that so far for these the amount of sizes here notebooks. So what I've done is I've taken some of our typical size notebooks, meaning my 1/4 inch page, which is 5 1/2, but I also have the 4 1/4 measurements on here as well. I have my 8 1/2, which, do I have an 8 1/2? I do. My 8 1/2 is an actual half page, which means it's 8 1/2 this way, 5 1/2 this way. This is my softbound book, but this is the size of the half page. And then I did a full sheet because I know some people like to make full size, full 8 1/2 and 11 actual books using the full page. I'm not a full page person. I like making little books. I like making half page calendars, and I like making unique shaped items. This is another video. This is my checklist grocery list. We will be making this book using the universal cinch, so I can show you how to bind things like that in another video. In this case, we actually made the back cover a 1/2 inch bigger so that we'd have room for our pen that we added here with some elastic. And we added an eyelet down here with elastic. So there are other shapes that we're going to want to do with the universal cinch. And if the measurements they provide does not work for us, then I'm going to give you guys a workaround so that you can get the look you want. Because if we're going to spend this much money on a hole punching device, then we are going to get our money's worth out of it. So let's start with how to read my log. This is on my Facebook page. As you can see, we have a lot of room to fill in. This will be added to as we go. We'll be updating it so that you can see more and more sizes get added, more and more stuff will be added to this page. This is how I started the original cinch. It started out this small. It has now grown to this. I don't know that we'll need this for this machine, but we can give it a try. We have a lot of measurements and a lot of information so that you can use your original cinch in order to make a variety of notebooks. We want to use these machines for everything. These are on my Facebook page, and I have it for several other We R Memory Keepers punch boards as well. I also have one for the mini cinch. It is not as extravagant as this one because I haven't had the mini cinch as long. So let's talk about the universal cinch. It is, in theory, nothing more than the original cinch, except instead of round or square holes, it has long, skinny holes. And basically, it's like having two holes in one. If you saw my last video, it's exactly like having two holes in one, because we basically punched two holes together to get the long little punch. But sometimes that can cause a problem because you don't have a lot of leeway as far as punching the holes where you want them. So I have created the spreadsheet. We have it with several sizes, and I'm going to show you how to punch these sizes. And the reason I'm going to show you, let's take this for example. This is my quarter page, 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. I'm going to bind the top. So all this machine cares about is 4 1/2. If my page is this big and I want my cover to be 1/4 inch bigger, and when I say 1/4 inch bigger, I don't mean on all four sides. If your binding is here, you only want it to be bigger on the right, the bottom, and the left. You do not want any more space where the wires are. That's going to be flush. So as you can, I wish I had used colored paper for different things. But you can see I have 1/4 inch on the right, the left, and the bottom. This is how we would make our cover larger than our pages. So our pages would all be 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, but our cover would be 4 3/4 by 5 3/4. So I need to know if I want 4 holes, and that's 4 of these long holes. I'm going to use 4 holes. This is my page. This is my cover. Where do I punch the holes so that the holes will line the paper up to the cover and only have 1/4 inch on both sides? And that's where this comes in. The very first thing is this 4 1/4. The side with the wires, meaning where are we putting the wires? We're not putting them here, so we don't have to worry about the 5 1/2. Make sure you only go by where you're putting the wires, side with wire. It's going here, 4 1/4. So if we're going 4 1/4 and I want 4 holes, I'm going to put my paper at marker 0.25. I'm not going to use my slider, and I'm not going to care about the line number. I'm going to leave my slider in, go with the marker that's here, and I'm only going to punch 4 holes. That's the next one. Sorry about that. 4 1/4, 4 holes. Here's my page size. It's right here on the spreadsheet for you. So I'm going to 1, 2, 3, 4 of them are going to be pushed in, and 5 and 6 are pulled out, because pulling them out means they're not going to punch. Pushing them in means they're going to punch. I'm going to line the left side of my paper up to the 0.25, the 1/4 inch. And that is the line right there. I'm going to put it all the way to the back, line it up with the hole. Now, if you had a whole stack of paper, you would use the whole stack of paper. And I know I've complained about not having that paper stop on the left-hand side. I've made several books, guys, and I haven't missed it. So sorry for complaining, but so far, and I haven't gotten very far because I just got this week, so far I haven't needed it. We will see as time goes on, depending on how thick my book is, if I wish I had that paper stop. So we're putting this paper, the left side of it's going to the 0.25, the quarter mark. I am pushing 1, 2, 3, and 4 and pulling 5 and 6, and then I'm going to punch. If you're going to punch with your hand here, make sure that your hand is not big and it won't get caught. I know for a fact my hand won't get caught because I've tested it. Make sure you do that before you push down. And now I have 4 holes and they are centered. And the way you can tell is you can bring the 2 ends together and see if the holes line up. It is a minute, tiny little, you can't even tell. It's so close. Now I have the pages punched correctly for the measurements I want for my notebook. But what about my cover? If I want my cover to be this size, which is 4 1/4, if I want my pages to be 4 1/4, then my cover needs to be 1/4 inch on each side. So if I need 1/4 inch on each side, I'm going to add 1/2 inch. 1/4 plus 1/4 is 1/2. I need to add that to this size, 4 1/4, 4 3/4, because I need 1/4 on each side. I want it to be 4 holes. Now I need to see where I need to punch. 4 3/4, because that's all that matters is where the holes are going. I want 4 holes. My marker is going to be 0.75. So my paper is going to go in here. I'm going to line the left side up to 0.75 or 3/4. Lining it up to 0.75. Holding it to the back. Keeping my holes at 4. I don't want to move these. Leave 5 and 6 open and punch. So now I have a 4 3/4 page with equal space on the 2 sides. I can fold it over to test, and yes, it gave me equal size on both sides. So now my paper will fit bound inside of my cover, and my cover will be exactly 1/4 inch bigger than my pages. And remember, I don't want extra up here because with the machine punching the holes, there's no place for extra. If you put too much up here, you're just going to have too much down here. So you want to add 1/4 inch, 1/4 inch, and 1/4 inch when you're deciding the size of your cover. You can make your cover the exact same size as the page, or you can make it larger. And that is how you get a 1/4 page top bound to be perfectly lined so that you can have a cover and a page when the cover is larger than the page. So let's try a different one. In this example, you can clearly see that I did not cut my paper at 1/4 inch this way. This page is 4 1/2 by 5 1/2. This page is 4 by 5. The mistake lies with the length. Actually, it doesn't. The mistake lies nowhere. We are not binding this on the top. We are binding it on the side. So this is the correct size. I want my paper to be 4 by 5, and I want my cover to be 1/4 inch on 3 sides bigger than this size paper. So I need it 4 1/2 by 5 1/2. And that is not correct. This is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. We are only working or concerned with the 5 and the 5 1/2. And this time we are going to punch 5 holes in the side. So for my 5 inches, because that's all we're concerned with is the 5 inches because our wire is going here. So 5 inches is here. we're going to go to our guide, which says 5 inches. We want 5 holes this time, not 4. So we are going to push in number 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is pushed, 6 is pulled. And we're going to go to marker 0. Now, even though this is 5 inches, we're going to the marker 0. And we're going to punch. Technically, because this is an even number, we could have went to the 1, not the 0. Had we went to the 1, there would have been more space here, but we would not have been able to punch number 5. So that is why sometimes we need the chart, because there are options, 0 or 1, for whole number sizes. So now I have 4 holes. I have 5 holes. This should have been 4 holes. Five inches, 4 holes. We should have went to the marker number 1. So we are going to skip this one and come back to it so I don't get you guys even more confused. Let's go to these two. This is our quarter page. And this time we're going to have our quarter page be the cover, and we want to make our pages smaller than our cover so we can have that quarter page all the way around. So if this one is 5 inches, then that is all we care about on our guide. We want it to be 5 holes, so we are going to punch it at marker 0. For this one, all we care about is this side, because this is the 5.5 side. 5.5, 5 holes. We want to punch it at 0.5. Then we have the holes line up, and we have exactly 1/4 of an inch all the way around. This is how you get 5 holes on this side, the left-hand side, as opposed to 4 holes on the top, and have your perfect border. But what if you want your cover to be the quarter page, or you want your pages, I'm sorry, to be your quarter page, and your cover to be bigger than the 1/4 inch page? You still use the same guide, but now I need to go 6 inches. This is the actual size that you're looking for on the chart, 6 inches, and I want 5 holes because my page is 5 holes. Now I'm going to put this at marker 1 and make sure 1 through 5 is pushed. Now my page is a quarter page and my cover is bigger than the page. So you can go either way. If you want your page to be a quarter, you can go cover larger, or you could have your cover bigger and go page smaller. So both of these, all 3 of these measurements are on this log. Now the one we did not do because I didn't do it properly was the 4 hole. So we're just going to turn this over and pretend these aren't over here. If we want 4 1/4 by 5.5, and we want 4 holes, not 5, we're going to go to our 4 1/4, I'm sorry, our 5.5, and we want 4 holes. And that is where the slider is going to come into play, because we need to pull that slider out until the last line on the slider lines up to the first line on the 1. So here for marker, I have nothing, but for slider, I have out, and that's what I mean. Pull your slider out, line it up. The last line on your slider is the first line on your machine. Once that is done, the line number, meaning here, line the third line. So I'm going to put it on the third line. My slider is out. I'm lining it up on the third line. I only want to punch 4, so I'm going to pull out number 5, and I'm going to punch. I could not have done that and been exact, because you can see this is exact, if I didn't bring out my slider into this position, because I needed this extra inch out with lines to line it up. So if this is my page, this here, I'm going to remeasure it, make sure I'm right. This is 5 inches because this is 5.5. This is 5 inches. 5 inches, 4 holes. I'm putting it on my marker 1. And I don't need to move the slider for that. That 1 is still on my machine. So I can just put it there to the 1, not to the third line. Make sure there's only 4 pushed and 2 are pulled. And now that page fits that cover with the 1/4 inch on both sides. And that is why there is this extra section here that says to move your slider out and use line number 3rd. I hope that makes sense. You're pulling your slider out. You're going to pull, I'm going to try to keep the glare off. You're going to pull your slider out until the last line of your slider matches the first line on your machine. Then using those lines, that is how you're going to line up your paper. The 3rd line, 1, 2, 3, line my paper there and punch my 4 holes. This gives you more space, top and bottom, than this machine is usually set up for. So if you're using that as your cover and you want your pages to be smaller, you need that 1/4 inch all the way around. And that is how you get it. Now let's talk about larger size, because we're going to have to use our little clippy over here to make the larger size. This machine will only punch 6, and you can continue going, but you have to put it back in the machine for a second punch. You can't just punch more than 6 in one shot. So let's move our little ones out of the way, and let's talk about our larger ones. Here's our first one. We have a smaller page and a larger page. This larger page is my 5.5 by 8.5. This is my half page size. And the reason I say that is it is the exact size if you folded a piece of standard 8.5 by 11 in half. That is a half page. So this is the half page size. If you want this to be your cover and you want your pages smaller, you'll need to make your pages a 1/4 inch and a 1/2 inch smaller. Because remember, we only want a 1/4 inch top and bottom, which equates to a half, and we only want a 1/4 inch on the right-hand side. We want this to have 7 holes. We're going to punch this using 7 holes, and then we're going to punch one using 8 holes. So let's start with this one. We are putting our wires on this side, and this is the 8-inch direction. So we want to use our chart, and I did put a border here so that you guys will know that here you will have to punch twice. So we're going to go to the 8-inch, which is the very first thing on here. I want 7 holes. It is telling me to put it at marker number 1. So we're going to push the slider back in because that's where it needs to sit. This is where my wires are going to go. I'm going to put my left-hand side paper on 1, and I want to punch 7, but I only have 6 holes. So I'm going to put it on 1, and I'm going to punch the first 6. And over here, you will see push in only, 1 through 6. All 6 are pushed in. Now, I'm going to take that last oval hole. I'm going to put this peg on the side in that hole. It's right here. That is going to go in that last hole. Once you've put it in there, you'll notice that you have a lot of play. You can move it left and right. You're going to push it toward the machine until you can't push it anymore. That's where it's going to sit to punch your next round. Now, the next round, I only want to punch 1. I'm doing 1 through 6. There's only 7 holes, so I only want to do 1. And because I only want to do 1, I want to make sure I pull out 2. So I pushed 1 in and I pulled out 2. Then you open up your little tabby, and now you have 7 holes, and they have equal amount of space top and bottom. Now let's do the other page. This is the 5.5 by 8.5. It gives us the quarter border all the way around. Our little machine only cares where we're putting the wire. The wire is going here. That is the 8.5 size. So we're going to look at our chart, 8.5. We want 7 holes because we want it to match our pages. So this time we are going to move the slider out again. So you want the slider to be moved out. You want the last line of the slider to be matched up to the first line on the actual machine. That is what it means when I write on my chart out. We're going to line it up to the 3rd hole again, or the 3rd line again. Make sure you push your 2 back in. This time we need to push in 1 through 6. We're lining it up with the 3rd hole. Pushed all of them in. Now we have punched it on the wrong side. Were you guys yelling, turn it around, turn it around? We are going to line it up on the 3rd hole. Now we have 6. We need to put it in the last hole, pushing it all the way into the machine so that you're not pulling it out, you're pushing it in. You're going to pull 2 because according to the directions, you're going to push 1 through 6, and then you're only going to push 1. And now we have the same amount of space on both sides. I know you guys have heard me talk about this before. When you are learning your machine and when you're playing with your machine, go use scrap paper. So when you do stuff like this, it wasn't for any kind of specific project. You can just keep punching and keep going. Use stuff out of your recycle bin. Use pieces of newspaper, anything you want that is paper. Don't try any crazy stuff in here. Use your scraps. Use your printouts that are wrong and thrown in the trash. I tried to make these nice and pretty for the video, thinking, oh, I'm not going to make a mistake. I just did every one of these and practiced and practiced and practiced, and yeah, that didn't work out. As you can tell, we've already made some mistakes. I don't edit my videos, so when I make a mistake, I can show you what that mistake looks like. I purposely put this mark here so I would know that my wires need to go there. So this clearly was me not paying attention. And it happens. The good thing is paper crafting is cheap. You can just toss that and move on. But for this case, it still serves my purpose. I wanted to show you the lines line up. There's a 1/4 inch on the bottom, on the right, and on the top. This cover matches the pages, and that is how you get that measurement. Let's move on. Let's see how many more mistakes we can make. Oh, look, we only have 1 more to go. And then I want to talk to you guys a little bit about this machine. So now I want to make a half page for the pages, and I want to make a bigger cover for my half sheet pages, and I want to do 8 holes this time. So once again, let's draw where our wires are going to go. This is the 8.5 inch size, and we want 8 holes. So we're going to find the 8 inch, 8.5, 8 holes. It needs to be in marker 0.5. We're going to put our slider back in because that's where it needs to stay. We're going to pay attention to what side we're punching the holes, what side we want the wires on. And we are going to put this on marker number 0.5. We're going to push in all 6. 1 through 6 has to be pushed. And we're going to punch. Now we are doing 8 holes this time, and that is 6. So we want 2 more. So our instructions tell us to do 1 and 2. We're going to take that last hole that it punched. This is different than your normal cinch. Your normal cinch, you go to the second hole. Your mini cinch, you go to the second hole. This one, think about this as a double hole. You're going to your first one. So you're going to put that little tab inside that hole and push down, and then you're going to push it that way. We only want 1 and 2 pushed in, and we want the next one pulled out. And now we have, again, the perfect space on both sides. It is off ever so slightly, but you couldn't have moved it in any direction to get this much. Now let's take the next page. This is the cover for this one. So we had to make it 9 inches. And the reason we did that was because 8.5 plus 1/4 and 1/4 is our 9. Here's the side we're going to put the binding on. That's our size, and we want 8 holes. So we go to our spreadsheet and we go to 9, 8 holes. Our marker needs to go on 1. Making sure we have the side that the wire is going to go on in the machine. See, once you make a hole punched wrong, you are very careful the next time. This is a 9 inch. We're going to go to the 1. We want all of them pushed in because we need all 6 holes. Every one of them was pushed in. We have all 6 holes. We're going to put our marker in here, our little tab. We're going to push it into the machine, not pull it out, push it in. We want 1 and 2 pushed in, but we want 3 pulled out. We only want 1 and 2. Open up our little tab, and now we have the cover for our half-page notebook inserts. And there you have a 1/4 inch on all 3 sides. And we have 8 holes instead of 7. So real quick, let's also do a full page one. And for this, I am going to do a full sheet with 9 holes. Then I'm going to do a smaller than full sheet with 9 holes, in case you wanted your cover to be the full sheet and your page to be smaller. So if I want 9 holes, if I want an 8.5 with 9 holes, and this is the best thing for me. This is my wire. This is my size. I am looking for the 11 9 holes, and this time I need to pull my slider out again. So that last line on your slider is going to go to the first line on your machine. This time I'm going to put this at the first mark, the very first mark, all the way out here. I'm still going to punch 1 through 6, so all of these are going to punch. We're doing 9 holes. We're doing the 11. We did the first line. I want to now punch 1 through 3 because we've already got 1 through 6. We're going to go to that last hole, put our little peg in it, push it into the machine this way. We're going to pull out 4 because we only want 1, 2, and 3 to punch. 1, 2, and 3 punches, 4 does not. And now I have a lot of space on each end. This is something that is not regular in this machine, and that's why this chart will help you when you want to do things out of the ordinary. So now let's look at punching the pages. I wanted the pages to be smaller. So this time it's 10.5 where we want our wires. Because if we added a 1/2 inch and a 1/2 inch, that would be 11. So we're going to do 10 and a half. 10 and a half with 9 holes means my slider is going to be out, and I'm going to line it up to the 3rd line. So we're going to put it in here. We're going to line it up to the 3rd line. We're going to punch all 6, just like our instructions say. We're going to secure that last hole into the peg, slide it into the machine. We only want to punch 1, 2, and 3, so we're going to pull out 4. And now I have space on both sides, and I have space 1/4 inch on each end, so that my cover is a full sheet. My inserts are smaller, giving me that 1/4 inch on 3 sides, not 4. The last one I have for you is the 10 holes. So we're going to push the slider back in because it always needs to start there. We're going to do 10 and a half, 10 holes. We're going to use our sheet. We're going to do 10 and a half, 10 holes. And because it is 10 and a half, we're going to use what the instructions say, and that's the 0.5. The reason I made this chart is so you don't have to think about it, or you can see the size above and the size below to know if you want to make your covers larger or smaller. And here are 3 exceptions on the bigger one and 1 exception on the smaller one where you need to move that slider, and you would not have known that without the chart. So even though these numbers are here, I made the chart simply to help make it easier. It's not to try to undo their instructions. It is to try to expand on them. So if we're doing 10 and a half, we're doing 10 holes. We're going to put it at the 0.5. We're going to make sure we push all the buttons in. All 6 are pushed in. Putting this at the 0.5. We're going to take the last hole that got punched, put it in the tab, and we're going to slide it in. We only want to punch 3, so 1 through 3. So pull out 4 because it will punch into the paper, and punch. And because I didn't pull this one out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. See how it didn't punch here? It punched here. It is because I did not pull this one out. So I'm going to put this back in the 6. So I'm not sure why it didn't punch properly. That was totally my fault. I lined it up incorrectly. We're going to flip it over and we're going to try it again. We're doing the 10 and a half, 10 holes. 10 and a half, 10 holes. We're going to the 0.5. First thing is everything gets punched. Everything goes inside. We're going to put this into the last hole, pushing it into the machine, pulling out the 4 because we need to punch 1, 2, and 3. We should have pulled out 5. It was just enough to catch. So I'm going to make a note on the sheet, and that's why we have it. I'm going to make a note on the sheet. The note is already on the sheet. I'm supposed to do 1 through 4, not 1 through 3. So we're going to go back to 6. And I want to punch 4. I don't want to punch 5 and 6. And had I read my own directions, I would have pulled 5 and gotten the perfect amount. So even when you write the instructions, sometimes you don't follow them. Let's do the last one together, and then we're going to talk a little bit about this cinch and what my impression is now that this is video number 3. This sheet is a full 11 inches, and I want 10 holes. So we're going to go to my sheet. It's a full 11. I want 10 holes. We're going to put this on line 1. all of them are pushed in, I'm going to punch. I'm going to put the little peg in the last hole and push it in the machine as far as it'll go. Because I want to push 1 through 4, I want to pull out 5. And that's the mistake I made here. I did not pull out 5, so it caught the edge of the paper. And now I have all 10 holes and the right spacing on the end. And if I put my page in here without the mistake of that little nick right there, it would have lined up perfectly and we would have had a 1/4 inch on each side, but we have this little nick in here. That is why I recommend using junk mail and paper and check, triple check, and double check before you start punching. Once you are comfortable punching, go find your prettiest paper and make lots of notebooks. So now let's do a recap of this machine. Because this is the 3rd cinch video, I want to let you guys know more of a detailed impression of this machine. Just like the original cinch, it's heavy, it's sturdy, it's metal. The gold is the same as the silver on the cinch. It only has 6 holes because they are long and skinny instead of 12 round or square. The backside is the exact same clamping mechanism. It's adjusted by this top knob. You just press down and turn. It's exactly the same as your other full-size cinch. It does not have full rulers on the slider or the actual base. It gives just these basic measurements. So far, I'm okay with them, as long as when I want to do something special, I can use my spreadsheet. When I wanted to do these special ones, because I didn't want to use 10 holes, I wanted to use 9. I was able to use the slide out, making it 1 inch bigger and using it to my advantage to just punch 9 holes instead of 10. That's just a personal preference. You can stick with the 10 holes. I just basically tried it to see if it could be done. Now that I know it can be done, I wanted to pass it on to you. These spreadsheets are for your use. They're free. They're on my Facebook page. Come and grab it. On my Facebook page, when I post these, if you want another size that is not listed here, just simply let me know. And as I get requests or as I'm doing other notebooks, I'm going to be adding to this, and maybe it will eventually be as large as our regular cinch. So please, guys, make sure you subscribe and pass this video along to anybody you know who may be interested in the cinch. The more you see it used, or the more mistakes you see happen, the better you will be, because you won't make those mistakes and you'll learn more about the machine. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure you come over to my Facebook page. I will put that link in the description. Let me know what you think of the new cinch. This is the universal cinch. This just came out in the US. We just got our hands on it. I got mine 4 days ago. So we're still new, we're still early, and we're going to see what this lovely machine will do, because it is a We R Memory Keepers tool, and I love all of their tools. So let's see what we can do with it and make something great. As always, guys, happy crafting.